Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the cheapest team possible for the Open Great League. I know that a lot of people asked for this, and so we're gonna take a look at this one right now. And yes, if you don't have elite teams for the Pidgeot, you can basically put any other flyer in that position. So if you have a Golbat, you can use a Golbat, which is also very cheap. All the Pokemon that we're using here right now is 10k only for the secondary charge move. We had just recently a spotlight out for Whiscash. I know that there was an event as well for Greedent, like I don't know, like 3 months ago or something like this. So like all those Pokemon are kind of accessible, all those Pokemon are pretty easy to build, and all those don't need XL and also don't really need a lot of Stardust for the secondary charge move. So if you need a beginner team, this would be yours, and you can even upgrade this team over the time. For example, use something like Lickitung over Greedent, use something like a Skarmory or whatever over the Pidgeot, and you can just upgrade it. But all those Pokemon still have some kind of interesting play, which is really cool. And first game here, by the way, ends very quickly as the opponent stops their Trevenant into our Pidgeot, and that's a good game. I have to say, Pidgeot is a Pokemon that I have not seen at all for ages, but this Pokemon is really underrated. This Pokemon is so strong. We were to be able to go for Scald here against the opponent's Umbreon getting a debuff. I actually had, with this team, I don't know if it's still in there, I did like so many battles with this team. This team was amazing. I only went positive with this team, by the way. Only sets positive. I think I did a total of 4 sets with this team, and honestly, it's so good. I actually played this team last season already, and I did not like it at all because I felt like it was a little bit too weak against the meta that was going on at this point. But nowadays, I feel like this team is really strong, and I would highly recommend you to try it out. Greedent now also with the move Trailblaze is really cool to punish those Lanturns, punish those, I don't know, like Carbings or whatever that want to swap into you, because before with Crunch you were not really able to beat those Pokemon, but now with the new move you're going to be also better against the Azumarill, which is kind of important. So honestly, Greedent is so good in the current meta, and like honestly, like last season this team was not as great as this season, and we're going to actually see here Guzzlord in the back, which is kind of funny because we're going to have still our spamminess with our Greedent. This is also like a benefit for this team. You have insane spamminess. You're going to get to the body slam after 4 fast moves with Greedent, and you're also going to get to your Mud Bomb after 5 and then 4 fast moves with the Whiscash as well, which is kind of wild. So is it always 5? I'm actually not too sure right now. Maybe I'm wrong with that. But anyway, like this team is definitely a very solid one. Would really recommend you to try it out, as you're going to be able to go ahead and go for another body slam here against the opponent's Guzzlord. And so this is going to most likely get the final shield of the opponent. I still have 2 shields left at this point of time. I can just go ahead and go for a Mud Bomb as well before they even go for their own charge move. And with this game is over. Like, what do they want to do here? Goodbye there. And also the Toxapex is going to forfeit. Next opponent, we're going to have a great lead here of the Whiscash against the Registeel, which is kind of nice. And here you kind of have to be very fast with the Pidgeot. Sometimes I stay in for a little bit too long, and you have to use shields here. It's a little bit unfortunate, but you're still going to be able to force this matchup in the 2-shield scenario. Here's kind of where the secondary typing of our Pidgeot is kind of awkward, because normal typing makes counter super, like not super effective, but like makes a neutral move there, because it's going to be resisted by the flying typing. But here we're going to see that the Ice Punch after the debuff is not going to be enough to knock us out anymore. We can go ahead for, I think I should have went for 2 Brave Bursts here, honestly, which also would have put the opponent then into range for like even Body Slam or whatever of the Greedent. But I decided to go for 1 Brave Bird and 1 debuffing move here, so they kind of forced the swap out against our Whiscash as well later on. But we're still in decent position here, as the opponent is going to take another Feather Dance even. But basically, we're going to still have 2 Pokemon left, which are full HP. The opponent has 1 Pokemon left that is having to swap out basically, and the Azumarill now in the back as well. But what we can do here is go for a Scald, hope for the debuff, and we are gonna get the debuff, which is really important for us, because now Greedent is going to be able to have a way better time against the Azumarill. And I don't want to use any shield now, because the Azumarill is kind of nerfed. It is definitely better to let those moves go through, especially as a Focus Blast does way more damage than a debuffed player of, as you can see here. Greedent is actually having a lot of bulk, and this is a cool thing as well. The amount of Lickitung that are currently around is absolutely wild, and our backline is both going to be able to hardwall the Lickitung. You're going to be able to win the matchup with both of your Pokemon in the back, which is really good, because also our lead has a weakness to Power Whip. So definitely a very solid lineup to play right now. Trailblaze coming through, gonna get the buff again onto the Greedent, even reaching another Body Slam. I think this might be a Steam P-tie as well. And with this game is basically over already. Like, what do they want to do here? They can go for a Focus Blast, and I think they are going to realize now as well that there's nothing that they can do, and they decide to forfeit. Next opponent, great lead for us. We're going to have a Bastion in the lead. They're most likely going to swap out into some trickier ones, going to be the Annihilate. And here I'm a little bit scared, because some YouTuber made a video about Bastion, Trevenant, and Annihilate. I wonder which YouTuber that was, but definitely a solid team to use, I would say. But also, I kinda know at least what they're going to have in the back, most likely, after seeing the lead in the Say swap. So let's see if this is actually going to be the team that I expected would be. And here I'm actually letting the move go through, which was a little bit silly, I guess, but the opponent actually going to use a shield now. Can I still reach my next charge move to realign? Let's take a look at it. We can, so we're gonna use a shield now. I can still align the Whiscash against the opponent's other Pokemon here, against the Bastion. And so this should get the knockout, hopefully, against the Annihilate. Let's see, it does. And so we're gonna see that they're going to actually have the Trevenant in the back. What a surprise. But they actually went into the Pokemon now, which is really good for me, because like this, I can align my Pokemon, which is really important. And I also going to be able to get some damage onto them, because the issue with the new Trailblaze variant of the Greedent is that every move that you have is going to be resisted by Trevenant, but also their first move is double resisted, so it's not the worst, and you can still buff yourself up, which is also kind of nice to have. Here, Seed Bomb is coming through. I expect them that they're gonna try to catch, but they actually don't try to catch, which is kind of nice. So I can go for a Trailblaze here, and now they're actually going to try to catch, and so I can swap out, and I can just go for some Mud Bombs against them then. Mud Bomb double super effective against the Bastion, and is going to be really good for us. This is going to do not enough damage to knock them out, but enough to two-shot them. And what we can do now as well is we can overfarm by quite a bit. And if we overfarm, we're going to be able to have just a move stored again. I feel like even a Mud Bomb would be enough, but we're just going to go up to another Scald afterwards. But this forces the opponent to go straight for their own charge move. With this, they don't have enough energy to get to another one, and I just need like one more Mud Shot to go for a Body Slam, and Body Slam is enough at this range for sure, and so Greedent is going to be able to finish up this game, winning this one as well, and we can move on to the next one. So it kind of showcases that at least like those cheap teams definitely have some play, but this is most likely one of the trickiest matchups that you could ask for. We're going to have the Dragonite in the lead. The good thing for us against like Dragonite, you're going to have a lot of damage output there from like Body Slam and stuff like this, and even like later on, if they are in the range that they are in right now, a Scald would be even enough to knock them out. They actually swap out into the Azumarill, which I actually quite like, because we have this super effective Trailblaze for them, and so we're gonna do some super effective damage here, gonna boost our own attack, and we can even go for another Trailblaze before they can go for a charge move, allowing us to get them a little bit lower, and so they are forced to go for a charge move here. I could decide to use a shield here, but I'm not gonna do this, as I now cannot try to get some... Oh, actually, I can still go for a Body Slam. Maybe it's gonna get the shield from the opponent. This would be amazing here, but let's see if they're gonna do this. They do not, and so they're going to let this move go through, and now it's Dragonite, and we can align our Pidgeot, and this is where the Pidgeot really can come in clutch, because if they have Pokemon like the LilyNiRiain in the back, we can just debuff them immediately. Issue is, I cannot really swap out into my Whiscash anymore, because the opponent has, of course, access to Power Whip, and I cannot really use a shield here either, and so we are kinda stuck in this matchup for a little bit. I'm gonna go for the Feather Dance, but this is going to be a really tough one to still win. The Feather Dance is going to get the shield and the double drop onto their attack, and I wanted to swap out here, but it did not work out. I still have another Feather Dance here, so maybe I can just go for a Brave Bird next and try to get the knockout here. It's going to be so close for me though to win this game still. They're going to use a shield, and so I'm forced to swap out. They're going to go into the Dragonite. I try to go for the Mud Bomb in time, but they still reach that Dragon Claw, which I have to let go through. Can I still reach another move? No, it's going to be a CMP tie, and what you're going to see me do now is super smart, which you're hopefully going to see me now doing here, because I let this move go through with no bubbles, which is not going to get the knockout against the opponent, and now I just basically allowed us to knock them out just so the opponent does not get enough energy. As you can see here, we still have a shield left, and we just have to reach the Brave Bird, and with this play, we're going to be able to actually still win this game, thanks to the Pidgeot, thanks to the Brave Bird, and thanks to our nice play against the Dragonite. A little bit of a neutral lead here. We're going to have the Whiscash against Whiscash matchup. I don't mind it too much. The thing is, what I would recommend you for this matchup is you're going to go straight for the Scald. If you get the debuff, that's fine, you kind of win this matchup. If the opponent gets the debuff, you swap out, because then you're going to still be able to go into your Greedent, but here, neither of us was able to get a debuff on the first round. Now we can go for another Scald. Let's see what the opponent's going to do now. We're going to be able to hit one. We don't get his debuff again, which is a little bit awkward, but because the opponent is going to go for another Scald now, I can just farm down afterwards. They swap out. Again, if we're just gonna get a debuff now, this would be important. It would be like so important, but we already went for 2 without a debuff, so this must get a debuff here, right? It did not, and I think it was like starting my streak of, I think it was in total like 9 Scalds in a row without a debuff, which is like so unlikely, but still changes like so many matchups. Like if I got a debuff here against the opponent's Gligar, I would have been in such a great spot. I would have been easily able to survive 2 digs here with my Greedent without an issue or whatever, which we are not going to be able to do now because of that debuff, or like because we didn't get the debuff there. I most likely would have either went, actually I would have most likely went into my Pidgeot instead of the Greedent because we still do neutral damage with our fast move, and the dig doesn't really help them, but I didn't really want to get rid of my Pidgeot yet, and so like this changes so much of this matchup. We're going to see here sadly a Skarmory in the back, and because we don't have a shield, that's going to be a loss because there's not a lot that I can do, but it just kind of showcases on how important a Scald debuff is. We're going to go for another one. This time around actually we got a debuff, so that's kind of great. Which literally doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter at this point of time. This game is kind of over. The Gligar kind of screwed me over there. But I feel like it would have been a trickier one anyway. This is like a little bit of an issue for this team, where, for example, something like a Lickitung Saysop is just better than the Greedent. Against the Skarmory matchup, it's just a little bit more tricky. Like, for the Pidgeot in the back, it's a little bit more tricky. So, if you have something like a Shadow Zapdos build, might be an option for the Pidgeot, which helps out with the matchup there, but we're gonna forfeit this one. We can move on to the next one. Next opponent, Dragonite in the lead. The issue for us here is what they usually have in the back. The thing is, there is a rank 1 in the world team, which I also wanted to try out, but it didn't really work out for me, so I didn't do a video at least yet. Maybe I'm still going to try it out later on, which is going to be Dragonite, Lanturn, and Skarmory. Here the opponent actually has Lickitung, so that's going to be way better for us, but if they have the team of Dragonite, Lanturn, and Skarmory, basically you have next to no chance here. Like, you literally have next to no chance, because where is our Pidgeot supposed to go? Like, they're having 2 hard answers to flying types in the back, and so it's really, really tricky to play against this team when you come up against it. But here we're going to go up against the Lickitung, going for another Body Slam, trying to get them a little bit lower. Should be kind of nice for us. This is going to be able to get some damage onto them, and I could decide to use a shield here, but I'm most likely not going to do that. And I can try to go for the full farm down with Mud Shot as well, but I decided to go into my Pidgeot instead, doing a little bit more damage with the Wing Attack compared to the Mud Shot. In comes the Dragonair. I can go for the Feather Dance before they even go for a charge move, which is insanely important here, because they're going to use a shield now, but they're going to do basically no damage anymore. And with this, I'm still going to use a shield here because they're apparently going to be weak against me in the back, and the opponent decides to forfeit this game after they're gonna go down here. So very likely some kind of grass type in the back, which would have been really great for us anyway. In comes now the Lickitung against us. Here you kind of want to swap out a little bit earlier, because you have such great matchups in the back, you don't really need to go for the Scald. We're gonna still go for the Scald, don't get the debuff, which is amazing of course. And the opponent is gonna go ahead and go for their own Body Slam now, which is going to do more damage than it should have. I could have went for the Feather Dance maybe if I swapped out a little bit earlier, but I didn't, and so this was like a little bit of my issue here. But I can just go for the Brave Bird. At this point, you cannot lose this matchup. You're going to always outspeed the opponent basically to a Brave Bird, I would imagine. And if they shield, that's fine. If they don't shield, that's fine, because, like, yeah, your defense is going to drop. But, like, the opponent swaps now into the Gligar. That's great for us. We can just go for the Feather Dance. Could have went actually for the Brave Bird, which would have been a little bit better. But with the Feather Dance, like, they don't do any damage here. We still kept our Pidgeot in the back. So if they're going to go back into the Lickitung later on, maybe we can farm down. Maybe we can get some Feather Dance action on the final Pokemon. But now we can definitely still go for our Scald, and this should get the knockout after the prior damage. But the opponent decides to use a shield, doesn't get a debuff again, which is just a little bit mad. But Dig is not gonna knock us out because of the debuff of Feather Dance, which is amazing. So we can go for another Scald and knock out the Gligar. And with this, we're going to be able to realign our Pokemon, which is going to be maybe important. I don't know. I decided to go into my Greedent because I don't have to use a shield here. Or basically the shield that I'm going to use here is going to be my Pidgeot. Because Greedent with the energy boost, or like with the Trailblaze boost here, is going to be great, especially if they have a Whiscash in the back doing so much damage. I can try to go for the Body Slam in time. I don't get that in time, but I can even use a shield if I wanted to. I don't use a shield, it's going to be a Scald. They don't get the debuff either, like literally Scald is just completely broken and doesn't do anything nowadays. But yeah, Body Slam is coming through. I think the opponent at this point of time just decided to forfeit already, just closed the app, had enough of the Greedent, because, like, yeah, the game was over, and we can just go for another Body Slam to finish them off. They didn't really want to play against my little squirrel anymore, and we can move on to the final battle of today. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you leave a like on the video. Helps out the channel quite a bit, as you're gonna see the swap of the Dragonite into us. Of course, you're gonna want to swap out eventually again. And I make a little bit of a mistake here, I have to say. There's something that I would recommend you to do, and this is kind of use a shield here early. I think you're going to be able to outspeed them on the long run anyway, even after going for a charge move in the beginning. But now the opponent would have the option, at least, to realign, which would be a little bit tricky for you, because they don't want to have that lead against your Pidgeot. But for whatever reason, the opponent decided to not do this. Not too sure if they actually would have been able to do that here, because I don't know if I was actually in Dragon Breath down range, but I can go for the Body Slam, which is going to get the knockout here, which is insanely important, as now we can just try to go ahead and go for a Trailblaze against the opponent's Lantern, which is going to connect. They actually went for the CMP tie as well, and with this, we're going to be able to get a ton of damage onto them. I can go basically let this move go through. It's going to be a Surf as well from the opponent here, and I can just align my Whiscash against them, but they decide to swap out into the Gustlord, and we are not playing around here. We have our Pidgeot, but because I know that it is very likely that their only play is here to go ahead and no-shield the first move, expecting a Feather Dance, I just decide to go for a big Brave Bird here. This Brave Bird is coming through. This Brave Bird is going to get the knockout, and so we win this game. Hope you enjoyed this video. A very cheap team for you. You can upgrade it in several positions as well, so definitely something that you can improve on in the future. I think this team is going to be great for you as well to play in Great League, so hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.